Hey everybody, welcome back to Land Shark's Garage. This is our second episode. Hopefully you joined us for the first one. Talked a little bit in that first episode about that 3+3 that we have in the garage and how much room it took up and how things were going to have to transition into drag racing so we could get ready to go drag racing and get our little S-10 rocking and rolling. And that transition took place this week, and we probably should have had some cameras set up for that debacle, but we got everything switched around. We're gonna walk around a little bit and take a look at what we're doing, talk a little bit about that truck. So thanks for coming along. Like and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy doing this. I decided this is a pretty fun thing to do. Nice day. This is our new German short hair puppy, Jake. He's going to be our shop rat. He kind of got the 49 out and running. Do a little bit on that later. So if you're with us last time, you know this garage was plumb full of truck before, and we moved it out. Got the S-10 in here so we can start working on it. Gives us a lot more room to go on. This is a 96 S-10. I picked up, decided to turn it into a drag truck. Got an 8-gallon fuel cell in it. Aeromotive fuel system running. Haven't had this truck running yet. Batteries located in the back. Shutoffs in the back per NHRA requirements. It's got a 8.8 inch Ford rear end out of an Explorer. We're going to go a little bit lower in the back. Well, we'll be having some footage of that when we do the lowering setup on that. This truck has a 406 in it right now that I'm actually borrowing from a drag racing buddy of mine, Sod Buster Motorsports. Built that motor, and it was quick in the Nova that he headed in. Hopefully it'll do the same thing for us. It's got a 750 Holly on it. This one's going to be running on E85. We're up here in corn country, so we want to support the local group, but yeah, we'll be running E85. Haven't fired this motor yet. Still in the process of doing all the wiring. You can see I got the invisible brake system set up there, so you know, no one can see my secret braking system. Got to work on that a little bit. Gonna have electric fans, electric water pump. The header's mounted. This mounting V8s in an S-10, a little sketchy sometimes. Makes things a little harder to get to, but my 49 out front is on the same chassis, and I use the same setup to mount the V8 in it. Turbo 350 transmission. Not much to look at inside. Stock seats and stuff. Use the stock steering column as an airbag system, so I kind of had to modify things a little bit. The only actual electronics from the car that will work will be the brake light and the headlights on it. Everything else I've taken out. The dash is actually gutted in the back. Take you around and take a look at that. Did a good job of cleaning up the shop after we had that 3+3 in here for so long. I even got a chance to clean up my workbench that was covered with everything. What we did with this is took the dash out of it and kind of mounted everything. Hey Jake, what's happening, buddy? Are you helping out? All right. So took everything out of the dash and then just put it back in. Ran my own electrical system. You can see my wiring and stuff that's here. I'll flip that up so you can kind of see what we're dealing with for switches. Got a mount shifter in it. Got my gauges mounted. A lot of little things to do. Got to measure for a drive shaft. That's probably what we're going to do. Get that ordered. Maybe give you some tips on how to measure for a drive shaft when you put a different rear end in a vehicle. Like I said, got a lowering kit. Got the TCI fastgate shifter. That's what we're going to put in it. got our roll control set up there. Drive shaft hoop. We're gonna be running slick, so per NHRA rules, you have to have a drive shaft hoop. So I'm gonna put that in there. Got some shocks to throw in it. There's that hidden secret master cylinder that we're gonna make work in there. As Vice Grip Garage would say, I guess that's a lightning twirler. I like to call it a HEI ignition system. That I've had really good luck with that setup. So we're gonna try and get this thing up in the air, get underneath there, and do some measuring of the drive shaft. Like I said, this is a 96 S-10. We've never had it on the track yet. We started working on it last year, hoping to get it ready for last year, and then COVID hit and nobody could race, so it made it a little easier to not work on it, I guess, is the lack of a better term. We're not going to forget about the 3+3. It's just hanging out outside for a while. Keep getting packages from LMC, so we're going to have to get right back at it when we get done with this one. But being a little warmer now in South Dakota, you going to get a chance to work on it when it's halfway in the garage with the garage door open, instead of taking up the whole garage. And get some more panels welded in that. And so basically what I need to do here is take this plate off the drive shaft, because I'm going to be reusing it on the 8.8 rear end. So I'm going to take the U-joints out of it. It's a snap ring type U-joint. Kind of got to press them out. I don't know why Ford went with this flat plate instead of a pinion yoke on the axle, but I know that the guys who use these for drag racing are using the plates and they're holding up. So all along as I try and get this thing apart, always interesting. These auto dollies, when I have stuff in the garage, it just makes it a lot easier to move things around. Well, got her up on the rollers. Decided I should probably put that lowering kit in before I measure for my drive shaft. So probably going to work on that. Hopefully I got everything to take care of it. I just put all new leaf springs and stuff in here, so this is it should come apart pretty easy. Famous last words. We'll see. Remember, after I put these Beltec springs in here, I had a little issue getting these U-bolts to line up, but hopefully that won't be a problem. Ford spring perches are just that much different than the S-10. So last time I just put a porter power in there and spread it out. It really doesn't have any effect on anything. It just another obstacle to overcome, I guess. Well, hopefully I'll be able to catch this for you guys. How I do this with the porter power. That's interesting. Worst part is you're gonna have to listen to me breathing because I'm kind of a fat guy, so I might have to get off my puffing before this is done. Okay, here we go. You can see where that's coming through at. You can see I got it to drop down in there. I had to just kind of convince it a little bit. So now my pins are all lined up on all that. I'll be able to put this bottom plate in, tighten everything back up. All right, so we're all lowered 2 inches, both sides. Hardly even a sliver. No blood, nothing. So that's the nice thing about these 8.8 inch rear ends. They come with a dog, I guess, but they get disc brakes, so that'll be handy on the top end. And like I said, I put in these Beltec drag racing springs just to be a little more competitive, maybe. We'll see. All right, I'll put tires on this, we'll drop her down, and then we'll finally get around to measuring for that drive shaft that we talked about. I don't think I took a before shot, but that 2 inches really made a difference there. I'm glad I did it before I measured for the drive shaft. That could make a difference on the measurement. So I think we were debating about 2 inches or 3 inches, and I think the 2 inches is probably about right. I guess we'll find out. Let's tackle that drive shaft. So here's how they want you to measure that. I want you to take a measurement from the back of the transmission tail shaft, which is there, to the center of the U-joint yoke, to the center of the hole where the caps for the U-joint go into. You take that measurement, and then when you send that in, that's what you give them, and then they take everything else into account. So I'm gonna get this measured, see what we turn up with. So in my case, that ended up being 57.25 inches. I'll double check that before I actually place my order, but I usually can get a drive shaft in about a week from Southwest Speed, and I've had really good luck with them. So as a recap, you know, we put the lowering blocks in so that we're getting our measurement at ride height, and we know that we're where we want to be when it comes race time. If I'd have waited and put the lowering kit in, I think it might have affected the drive shaft, so I'm glad I did that. We'll probably continue on with some other stuff here in the future with that. I told you a little bit about this 8.8 Ford rear end. It's a pretty common swap now, I think, with the S10s. Like I said, I went through several of them to find the code that shows that it's 411 geared locked. This one's out of a 97 Explorer. Basically, I think it's up to 2000. The Explorers had this 8.8 inch rear end, and some of them had drums. This one's got discs. Most of them were 373s, but a lot of the Explorer Sports and stuff had this 411 geared rear end. That's a posi. They use them a lot in the S10s and drag racing. They're running pretty good at stock, you know, into the 11s. I know a few guys that run them that have really done nothing to them. It's kind of hard to see, but it is actually a little offset. Passenger side axle is a little shorter than the driver's side. So what some guys are doing is taking that passenger side axle and getting two rear ends and making one to shorten it up even more, so that you can take care of some of this gap in here. You know, so you don't have to have such a deep offset rim when you run it. And I've got a pretty deep offset rims in there because I didn't want to make that change. Like I said, this may be just a temporary rear end until I can get a 9-inch if I ever get this to go in the number that I'm looking for, which is, you know, sub 1150s. But I went through the rear end, checked everything after I got it. I gotta quit saying Mortsky Repair is just killing me on how many times I say when I'm talking about stuff. All right, so I went through, put new calipers, new rotors, new pads, new hoses on it. I'm switching over to a manual brake system, which we'll have a video of that later in the front, taking the old stuff off with the ABS and everything. Since this is a second gen S10, it's got it had an ABS system on it, but very simple, easy to drop in. You know, when you saw me doing the lowering kit, I was using a Porta Power to push the leaf springs out just a little bit, just so they drop into the pins. And I'm not really worried about that offset with my driveline angle. Like I said, there's a lot of guys that are running this setup without any problems, and they're running in the 11s and low 12s. Got some slicks coming for this to get these roll around wheels off of it. Kind of gives you a good shot up the bottom of the chassis. I kind of stripped everything out of there that I don't need. Very similar to the things that are going on in the dash. I tried to get rid of all the stuff. It's not streetable. I will have tail lights, brake lights, headlights, but that'll be about it. There's no heating system in it. It's purpose oriented to go down the track at a high rate of speed. Other than that, this is the tag you look for if you go in junkyard jumping on these. The junkyard I went to was over in Siston, South Dakota. They had, I think 15 to 17 Explorers out there that I laid under and looked at this tag to make sure that I was getting the rear end that I wanted. All of them were 373s. The other ones that were there, some of them were the drum brake setup, but most of them were a disc setup that he had there. And there's a lot of salvage yard that still have that year of Explorer in it. I'm not sure if I think the Ranger was different. I'd have to look a little bit more, but this rear end seemed like it was in pretty good shape. I mean, it had been sitting in the grass for a while, so I did go through the whole thing and make sure everything was up to snuff in it. You have to cut off a few brackets. It's got a trailing arm panhard system on it on the Explorer, but that was not a big deal. I ran my brake lines. I try and do everything, especially on a race vehicle, that makes it so it's easy if you have to fix it. Not aesthetically pleasing sometimes, but if that needed to be replaced, it'd be very simple. I need to run a drain, hose, not drain hose, a vent hose off the rear end so that that can vent properly when it starts getting warm. Other than that, you know, it was a fairly easy swap. A lot of people look at it. I did a lot of research on the internet. There's a lot of differences of opinions on this shortening it so that it fits just perfect in there. There was pros and cons with everything. To me, it wasn't that big of an issue for what I'm using it for. If I was to, I have an S-10 chassis on my 49, and if I was to put it under there, I probably would shorten it and use it, you know, it shortened just so I'd have, my wheels wouldn't be sticking out as far. But I'd have an 8.5 inch rear end for the 49 that I got out of an ZR2 S10 that I'm going to drop underneath there this summer. We'll probably have a video of that. That's a 373 geared thing to put into the 49, and that's a direct bolt in too. But the ZR2 rear end is a couple 3 inches wider, 2 inches wider for sure than the little 2-wheel drive one that I have in there now. So I do have a little bit of rubbing in my 49. That's not going to be a problem in this. I probably will have some wheels sticking out a little bit. That's why I was debating about the 2-inch versus 3-inch drop. You see my bolts are hanging down a little bit. I'm still kicking around the idea of putting Caltrax on this eventually, depending on how my traction, how my leaf spring wraps up when I'm launching. That's kind of an issue in drag racing. You know, you get that leaf spring wrap, and so, you know, if you guys have done this conversion or are thinking about it or have questions, just go ahead and put it down in the comment section and let me know. I mean, if I can come up with an answer, I'll try. If you got a better way of doing it, let me know that too. Well, there we have it, friends. 2-inch lowering kit installed, measured for that drive shaft. Got things a little closer to getting ready to race. We still got to put in that shifter, put in the drive shaft loop when the drive shaft gets here. You know, I've had good luck with those drive shafts, so I'm not worried about the fitment of it. I did find out that 2-inch lowering got a little closer to me, so I might have to get the big jack stands out forward to. Thanks for stopping by Landshark's Garage. Please like and subscribe. I appreciate all the comments that I get from folks. I know I'm going to get tore up on some stuff, but I'm good with that. So until our next episode, drive your shit.